The courtroom was overflowing with whispers and disbelief when the millionaire's lawyer suddenly ran out of the door, red-faced, terrified, and without uttering a single explanation. The entire room gasped. The judge banged his gavel, demanding order. Cameras flickered like lightning. The world watched as Gerald Morrow, one of the richest men in the state, sat frozen, accused of corruption and bribery. His own lawyer had abandoned him in fear. It was a disaster that no one saw coming. But while people argued and panicked, one quiet man stood at the back of the courtroom. He wore a janitor's uniform, was holding a mop, and his name was Ethan Cole, a widowed father of a little girl named Lily. He never imagined this ordinary day of cleaning would push him into the middle of a legal war or change his life forever. Ethan wasn't just a janitor by choice. He once studied law at night school years ago, dreaming of becoming a lawyer, but life crushed that dream early. When Lily's mother was diagnosed with cancer, every penny went to medical bills. Ethan dropped out, took whatever job he could find, and became a full-time father and caretaker. After she died, he never went back to law school. Lily was all he had. She had her mother's smile, gentle, warm, and full of hope. Every morning, she packed Ethan's lunch with little notes telling him he was the best dad in the world. She believed he could do anything. To him, those were more valuable than diplomas, titles, or fame. Ethan worked as a janitor at the courthouse because it offered stable work, health insurance for Lily, and allowed him to be home in the evenings. He never complained. But when he swept courtroom floors, he sometimes paused to watch lawyers argue, imagining his life if things had been different. Then he'd wipe his eyes before anyone noticed and continue cleaning. Gerald Morrow wasn't just wealthy, he was powerful. His name was on skyscrapers, hospitals, and schools. But now the headlines accused him of stealing money from poor communities. He claimed he was innocent. He claimed his own business partners set him up. Yet public opinion had already judged him guilty. His lawyer promised to expose the truth, until the moment he ran away. Everyone whispered theories. Some said he was threatened. Some said he found evidence that could destroy him. Others believed the court was rigged. But the judge refused to delay the trial. Morrow had only minutes to find someone to represent him, or the case would be forfeited, ending in automatic conviction. That Gerald's eyes moved, desperate, searching for help. Security guards, journalists, and even spectators avoided his gaze. And that was when fate turned in an unexpected direction. Ethan, still holding his mop, spoke through the silence. "I studied law," he said quietly. "I know this case. I've read every document while cleaning. I can help." The entire courtroom burst into laughter. A janitor? Defending a millionaire? Security reached for Ethan, assuming he was making a joke. But Morrow stood up and raised his hand. "Let him speak. I want to hear what he has to say." Gerald Morrow looked into Ethan's eyes. Eyes filled not with fear, but conviction. Ethan didn't shake or stutter. He spoke like a man who cared about truth more than reputation. Gerald took a leap of faith. "I appoint him as my temporary litigator," Gerald said. The audience raged. Reporters typed so fast their fingers cramped. The judge rubbed his temples, exhausted by chaos. "Mr. Cole, you are not licensed," the judge said sternly. "I may not be licensed today," Ethan replied, "but I'm the only person here willing to stand up for justice. Grant me one day to question the witnesses. If I fail, you can assign a replacement tomorrow. But today, this man deserves at least one voice speaking for him." The judge paused, watching Ethan's sincerity. After long debate, he granted Ethan one temporary allowance to cross-examine witnesses, but not present formal arguments. It was enough. Ethan cleaned his hands, removed his janitor badge, and walked to the center like a man who belonged there all along. Ethan began asking questions no one expected. He didn't attack the witnesses with fancy vocabulary or complex language. He used common sense. He asked the company accountant why the paperwork had 2 different signatures. He asked the contractor why the funds were transferred after he had already quit. He questioned a business partner who couldn't explain where millions went after leaving the company. Piece by piece, Ethan exposed a conspiracy, one not designed by Gerald Morrow, but by his own partners. The truth wasn't buried in textbooks or legal theories. It was buried in greed, lies, and betrayal. Ethan found those lies because he had spent nights cleaning desks and shredding rooms where documents were accidentally left behind. One partner refused to answer questions, sweating through his expensive shirt. Another stuttered as Ethan read emails left in a waste bin. The crowd's laughter from hours before had been replaced by stunned respect. Ethan didn't defend wealth. He defended truth.